Alright everybody, it is a very hot July afternoon, and so going down our list of civilized variations, we're skipping M because that's the mouth drill, and we're on to N, which is one that I call the Nano Drill. Alright. And as you can imagine, it's small. So many years ago, I remember seeing things for who could do the world's smallest bow drill, things like that, and they're not like a real contest where you win anything except maybe bragging rights or anything like that. But I always wanted to kind of give that a try, and not as a real competition, but to really throw something together, because it is a challenge. But I never imagined it, as most other people did, as literally trying to get down like this and on the ground and trying to bow. The way I pictured it was something that was entirely held in your hand, and you would bow like this. So here's what I came up with. Alright. And you know how much I hate bamboo. So obviously it was made out of bamboo. So the first real problem I needed to deal with was stability. So I needed to have these devices together, locked together, so that they could never come apart. Because if I was holding a base, for example, in my fingers, and maybe what would be like a pressure hand brace on my thumb with the spindle in between, I couldn't really get much stability with that. My hands aren't very strong to begin with. I don't have powerful hands. So I needed the devices to hold themselves together. So here's what I needed to come up with. Well, here's what I have. And obviously it's made out of bamboo. Large sections of the bamboo slats. So here is the base. Okay, this is the base. And here I have, like in a kitchen you would have a backsplash kind of backing. Well, I have a backing here in order to hold a reload, which goes here. And here's an example of my first reload that I ever did. It's exactly 1.5 inches in width. So it fits right in there, and it wedges in there, and it sits in there between these two L brackets. Okay? So it's wedged in there pretty good. The backsplash is what I call it. This brace here keeps it from sliding backward. Okay, now when I'm bowing, it's open this way, so I'm actually pushing down with the bow, so I don't worry about it coming out this way. I'm only worried about it going down, and that's what this piece of bamboo here does. That's what that device does there, and it's epoxied in there. Okay, so this is the base that holds a reload. So these L brackets, I have 2 L brackets here, and they're separated exactly by 1/2 inch, 1.5 inches, because this is 1.5 inch hinge, which I have here. Okay, the other half of the hinge attaches to the what would be like a pressure hand brace if it was a bow drill. Okay. So what we're going to do is we're going to call this the pressure nano brace for now, alright, for lack of a better term. So these L brackets are separated exactly by 1.5 inches, so I know how large my reload needs to be when I cut them out. Okay. So the L brackets are screwed in with Phillips screws. Okay. Now they stuck out a little bit, so what I did was I cut them down on the grind wheel, nice and flat, so there's nothing sticking out. And this back brace, okay, this back brace, same thing. The screws from the hinge and the L bracket came out through the back. So I put them on the grindstone and the grind wheel and cut them down nice and flush and flat so that there's no problem. Okay. Now the hinge provides stability, okay, and so I took a section of bamboo and I cut it flush with the, if you could see here, I cut out a little section to make space for the hinge, the metal of the hinge, and then that way it could lay flat on this bamboo brace part, which it's connected to. It's screwed in with some Phillips screws, okay, and epoxied in as well. All right. As you can see, it already has a brace hole, which is already lubricated with linseed oil. All right. So the back brace and the base, which holds the reload, is stable and doesn't move because it's L bracketed. And the pressure nano brace on the hinge is what moves. Okay, so let's put this together. Here's what this looks like. The reload goes in here, it sits in there, and it doesn't pop out because it's exactly 1.5 inches. Okay. Now my spindle is again bamboo. It's actually bamboo chopstick. Okay, and it's let's see. It is 2 inches. It's approximately 2 inches in length. And make sure you don't mix up your ends. Your brace end and your base end go in together like that. Now how I like to hold this is the base end sits in my fingers and the brace end is my thumb. Okay, sort of. And actually the thumb and actually it's the whole thumb, okay, with the wrist is how I do this. Because this is actually braced up against my leg when I do this. I don't do it open in the air, okay? It's kind of like if you've ever done flint knapping with stone tools. When you do stone tools, okay, the piece that you're working on, like the arrowhead, okay, sits up against your leg. And then you have a flaking tool to remove flakes off the stone. And you put the flaker against this leg and your material against this leg. And what you do is with your legs, you actually remove pieces like this. You don't have your arm and your hand out here and here with the flaker, and you go bicep against bicep muscle. You don't want to do it like this unless you're doing very fine work. Okay? So when you're really knocking pieces off, you use your leg muscles. Okay? You just put the flaker to the stone and build up pressure with your legs and pop the piece off. Well, that's what this technique comes from, is the Nano Drill is held up against the base, is held up against the opposite leg, okay? And then the arm, the forearm, sits up against this same leg, okay? So my left arm sits up against my left thigh, and I squeeze it together. So this way I'm not just using my hand, I'm using my legs. And then I have the bow, and I bow back and forth with this piece, okay? But I need a new spindle because this is too short. This is the one that I originally used. Actually, maybe I can get away with it if I have a new base. Let's get a new base, which needs to be made. Okay, I already made 2 new bases. Reload bases. Okay. So let's fit this one in here. And you can see it fits exactly. It doesn't fall out. It's caught between the L brackets. Okay. if I put the spindle in, you have to see if that's going to match the width of the bracket. And that looks pretty good. I think what we'll do is we'll just mate that together right now. Okay? Let me just dig out that hole a little bit more. In this reload so that sits better. Careful not to cut myself because that would be embarrassing. As well as dangerous. Never mind embarrassing, it's dangerous. Okay. So the bow. The bow is bamboo. Surprise. And it is the spatula handle, okay, from a bamboo kitchen tool. So I cut the head off of the kitchen tool, whatever that was, and put some nocks in both ends. And this is going to be kind of like Egyptian style, where it'll wrap around the spindle just a little bit. This way I don't have to worry about getting the tension exactly. Okay, so we'll see how well that fits. I'm going to take this grease off the top a little bit so I don't get grease all over everything. So let's wind that around. Looks like it's going to wind around twice, which is really all we need, right? Because if you do Egyptian drill, the spindle has to be really tall because it rides up and down. Alright, very good. So I have grease in the brace already. Let's see if we can't get this mated. Okay, so I get in position. Alright. The base goes against, I'm holding it in my left hand. My right is the bow. Okay. So I'm holding my left hand with my fingers up against the base. That goes up against my right thigh. Okay? My forearm, my elbow forearm, is up against my left thigh. And I squeeze my legs together. This provides pressure. Okay? Get a little closer in there. Let's get some smoke, shall we? There we go. So now it's mated. So I'm going to put in a notch in our reload, and we're going to come right back. Okay? Okay, so I've put a notch in our reload, so that's going to fit back in there. Okay. Now I'm going to wipe off the grease again, and since I'm working with such a small spindle, I'm really concerned that I'm going to get grease in the base end. So let's string this up again. Oh. String it backwards. There we go. It's so small. It's hard to work with. Okay. Let's load up our devices. Everything is together. Okay. And again, you know, principles still apply. the variables, we want a nice long stroke with this, even though it's a short drill. Okay, let's close up on that a little bit so you can see everything. Again, my left hand is braced up against my right thigh. My left elbow and forearm is braced up against my left thigh. Okay, and this way I can apply pressure with my legs. Alright, I hold, by the way, the notch skyward, upward, so that obviously the dust doesn't just fall out and onto the ground. Okay, because we want all the dust to collect in one place. The cord is a little loose, so you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to stop because I'm having a complication. Here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to fix the cord a little bit and come right back. Okay, I think I got the cord tension problem fixed. Again, my main problem, I think, my main concern is really getting grease in the base end, since I'm working with such a small setup. So, again, I'm squeezing my legs together. Hear the squeaking? It's because it's glazing. Because I probably have a little, not just grease from the brace end, but my hands. It's so sweaty. It's such a sweaty day today. It's July, it's hot, it's humid, it's New Jersey. So I have to break through this. There we go. We're breaking through. You can hear the sound change. There's smoke. To break through that glaze. Now I'm not so much applying pressure as I need to do some speed here. And the other thing is not to destroy what it is that I'm doing by this set moving around too much. Oh, look at that. My cord is destroyed. Look what happened to my cord. My cord just fell apart. Oh. And I'm pretty close to the bottom of my reload. So I'm going to need two new things. I'm going to need a new spindle and a new reload. So we're going to do that over. Okay. Okay, so we're ready to go again. And so I have a new reload. Okay, hasn't been mated yet. We have a new spindle, about 2 inches. Okay, it's going to fit like that. And I put on a new cord. So 3 new things. Okay. The other one was kind of a nylon wrap. This one's a paracord, just so you know. Oh, another thing about the spindle, it's a solid spindle, right? It's a, because remember we talked about takeori, things breaking. I mean, it's a bipolar method, and when you have a bipolar method where the ends are locked and you have a unilateral pressure in the middle, you don't really want anything hollow. Okay, it could snap. So a lot of pressure is going to be applied with this unilateral pressure. So force. So we're going to get this mated. Oh, the other thing too about the spindle is the diameter of it is between 3/8 and 10 millimeters. Okay. Again, I think that really when you go below 3/8, you're running the risk of not having enough surface area to be able to pull it off. Okay. So I have let's take the grease off the top. So I'm gonna get grease all over the whole spindle. We're going to string this bow drill fashion instead of Egyptian drill fashion, so this could pop out. Have to be careful. I'm going to put just a drop of grease in my brace end there. Let's get everything together. So we have to mate this together. Again, braced up against my right thigh. My left forearm and elbow are braced up against my left thigh and are applying pressure. Let's close in on that so you can see. Okay. And we broke through the sheen. It's smoking. Okay, so that's good enough for me. I don't want to use up the surface area of the reload. It's a very small reload. So I don't want to be going through this base quickly. Okay, I need all that wood there to support coal dust making. Okay? Alright, so I'm going to put a notch in that and we're going to light it up. Okay. So the exact diameter of the spindle is 3/8. Not that you can see that, but between my calipers it's 3/8 of an inch. Just so we clarify that. So let's take the grease off again so we don't cause complications. Okay. Because we are the ones responsible for balancing the variables. Try not to get grease in the base end. Let's put our reload in. Let's put our spindle in together carefully because it'll flip out. Alright. And again, the notch is facing up. Even though it's a little bit on an angle, it's still up. It should catch everything. Now the thing too is you have to keep everything steady. If you shake this thing all around, you're going to destroy your coal ember even before it's gotten started. So you have to keep the set together. Okay. Nice long stroke. You can see the dust is filling in the notch. Not using so much pressure, but I'm gonna increase the speed. You can feel the spindle going down in size. Oh! And I just destroyed everything by lifting up. Because if you remember when I do the bow drill, I grab the spindle and the cord together, so I have the handhold, right? When I'm done, I drop the bow, I grab the cord and spindle, and I move it aside so it doesn't flip. Well, here, you just saw, I lifted up the pressure nano brace and the whole thing just flipped out and destroyed everything. So just keeping it real. This is a real complication that you see, so you learn, and so we're gonna do that again. Okay, so I've decided to make a change too. My reloads, the first two reloads you saw, are Atlantic white cedar, but you know what, I think they're too soft. The density is too soft and it's burning through too quickly. So I've switched over to lumber pine, just regular pine that you buy in a hardware store, and I've cut a reload of pine. Right. So that fits in there. Right. I took the, or I'll just do it again, take the grease off the top, right, to avoid complications. Let's string this again. This time we're going to be more careful in removing the pressure nano brace from the top. Alright. Everything is situated. Applying pressure. close in on that a little bit. Okay, now we're just mating this together. Let's get this socketed together. Definitely smells different. It smells like burning pine. Okay. Oh, I let it go. But that doesn't matter. Because we're going to fix this, put this together. Alright, so I'm going to put a notch in our reload, and I'll be right back. Alright, so we're ready to get started again. I have my notch in, as you can see. Okay, everything's braced, and we're going to start bowing. Take it nice and easy. I don't want to destroy anything. Again. A little bit of speed. Okay. And we're going to carefully try to grab that spindle. And nope, I burned into the notch. See that? Created the nippling effect. So there was no actual coal. The coal was destroyed by the drift. You could see the drift, actually. How it drifted over. So guess what we need to do? One more time. Alright, so we're ready to give it a go again. Now, you've already seen me mate this a few times, so I'm not going to do that again. I've mated it. It has a new notch. It is pine. Bamboo spindle reload and pine reloading base. Okay. So let's just get this warmed up again. Let's close in on that again. Okay. Again, my problem is really going to be trying to get the spindle out of there without destroying everything. So I think what I'm going to do is take the coal out, if I can, before I do anything. Nothing yet. Let's keep going. Still nothing. Gotta warm it up again. The spindle's getting shorter. That's the problem with this really, really short spindle. It doesn't give me any room. Once it's gone. And I'll tell you what I'm trying not to do. It's a hot July day. I'm trying not to sweat on this thing. Interesting. Grab the spindle, lift up, grab the base. Oh, I took it out one piece, but unfortunately there's no coal. Alright, so I've made a few changes. Okay, one, I've gone back to a cedar reload, and I think one of the complications that I'm giving myself is that I'm applying too much pressure with my legs. So I think I'm really just going to hold this thing in place with my legs. Okay, and I'm really going to back off on pressure. So I'm just going to kind of go for speed. So I've decided to do away with the pine, which is a harder density. And because what I've noticed with the coal dust, although I don't know if you could see it or not, it was really chunky. And really chunky coal dust means it can mean too much pressure. So what I'm doing is the friction. There's two kinds of friction, right? Temperature friction and abrasion friction. Well, there's too much pressure causing abrasion friction. So I'm shearing off too much wood. Instead of making powder, I'm tearing off chunks, and I'm not really igniting this thing. So we're just going to hold this in place instead with my legs, and just kind of go for more speed. Alright, again, we're holding it up to catch everything. And we're just going to go nice and smooth, nice long stroke. Try to keep everything steady, not too much pressure, but just keep going. And I think we're going to get it this time. Alright, so carefully, yep, we got it. There it is. Well, look at that, a double coal. Twin coals. Okay, so I hope you liked, boy am I sweating. I hope you liked the Nano Drill. Very interesting little piece, right? So, little tiny spindle, reload. Now, again, you can kind of see the, if you're doing this a lot, how nice the reloads are. Reloading spindle, reloading base. Imagine just making whole new sets all the time. So, I mean, since we don't really have to, and you know, this is an art form as well as a science, the whole reload thing is really nice. It really is a big help, and especially if you're doing demos in front of people, you can always just grab another one if for some reason, you know, it's just really not going the way it's supposed to go, which does happen. But you know, that's natural law. That's just how things are. You have to keep things in balance. Try to reduce your complications. If you do have complications, put them back in balance. Okay, fix those imbalances. All right. And so that's the Nano Drill. And now we're moving on to another new one, which involves a different way to translate energy, and that's the ore drill. Okay, going in order. O is next. All right. Hope you're enjoying everything. Let's keep going.